Today we're going to treat the computer science paper 2 for October-November 2023. Particularly, we're going to look at paper 2-3. So remember, again, in this series, we're considering the programming part. So let's go straight to it. All right, here we are. So the question says, a weather station takes temperature readings once an hour for a week. These temperatures are stored in a two-dimensional array temperature. So again, we need to take note of this, that it is a 2D array. Each column contains 24 readings for a single day. The first temperature is recorded at 00 hours and the final temperature at 2300 hours and the final temperature at 23 hours. So there are 7 columns, one for each day of the week, starting with Monday and ending with Saturday. Okay, and ending with Sunday. Okay, I am going to do something with Excel to help us visualize what the task is referring to. Okay, so here we have it. So from the question, the reading starts from 00 hour to the 23rd hour. Okay, you have each day of the week is represented as column. So let's come back here. Each column contains 24 readings. So which is what we have here. Each column 24 readings for a single day. So for Monday 24, Tuesday 24, like that. There are 7 columns, one for each day of the week, starting with Monday and ends at Sunday. Starting from Monday and ends at Monday to Sunday. Okay, all right, let's move on. The variables max day, mean day, and half day are used to store the maximum, minimum, and average temperatures for each day. So I just use these values to simulate this process so that it will be easy for me to explain it to you. Okay, so here we have max day, mean day, half day for Monday, Tuesday, all the way to Sunday for each of those days. So this is the max, the highest, mean, the lowest, and average for this Monday, and then the same thing across up until Sunday. All right, let's move on. So the array already has, so the variables max week, mean week, half week are used to store the maximum, minimum, and average temperatures for the week. For the entire week, this max week is the maximum for all the readings here. This is the minimum for all the readings, and then this is the average of all the readings here. So that is the idea. Yeah, right, let's move on. Okay, so this part of the question is the part where I usually copy, and I use it as part of my comment so that we don't have to come back and forth. Okay, so I'll copy this one. We'll read them later. Now, all temperatures outputs must be recorded to 2 decimal places, so we need to take note of this. Meanwhile, we didn't highlight these ones. Very important. We will use them the way they are. Okay, do not use a different spelling. Maintain the same cases so you don't lose marks. All right, where are we now? You must use pseudocode or program code, add comments, and explain how your code works. Okay, so this is the usual thing that we normally get. All inputs and output must contain suitable messages. You do not need to declare arrays or variables. You may assume that this already have been done. You do not need to initialize the data in the array temperatures. Okay, so remember, you do not need to do all of that. Okay, but as usual in our case, we will have to do them because I need to demonstrate to you how the program works. But in the exam hall, again, you really do not need to do it. Okay, but there's nothing wrong if you do it if you still have time. But if you don't have time, which is usually the case for some students, then you need to let this part go. Okay, now I need to copy this part of the question, which will serve as my comment and as the instruction for us. All right, so let's begin. Now let's take note that there are a few things that we need. First of all, we need these days from Monday to Sunday. So preferably it would be nice to store them somewhere in an array so that we can easily access them, because we may need to print them later. We also need the variables that were mentioned already. Okay. And remember, we also need temperature that will contain all of this. So we need days, which is from Monday, days from Monday to Sunday. So we need this. We need number of days. Number of days is 7, but we can get that from the length of days. Number of hours, which is 24. We also need temperature. Now remember that the temperatures here, since we intend to run this, we need to simulate values that will populate the array so that we can use it to test to see how our program works. But yet again, in the exam, you don't need to do this. Okay. So it's a 2D array. And then remember they told us it should be in 2 decimal places. So let me call it float. So I am going to use the random function to get a range of values. I'm going to use rand range to do that. So let's say I need values between 0 and 50 will be nice. Values between 0 and 50. And then remember, we need it to be a double loop. So one will be 24 by the column, right? 24. Then the other will be by 7. All right, so I hope this is clear enough for us to understand. So we need to import, okay, it is already imported for us. So let's try to print the values inside of temperature. Let's see what it look like. Okay. Okay, so it looks like we have a little challenge here. Okay, so that is sorted out. So let's try to run this again. Okay, so here we are. So these are the values that have been randomly generated for us. So this is for one column. So this will be for Monday, then the other will be for Tuesday, all the way to Sunday. Okay. All right, so let's continue. So we need to find the maximum and the minimum temperatures for each day. Okay, so for us to achieve this successfully, we need a few things again. So we need to initialize these values. Max day, right? We need mean day, remember from the question. Half day, we need max week, we need mean week, we need half week. So we need to just give them initial values. Okay, so the idea is this. If you want to get a maximum value, you need to start from the lowest value. And whenever you meet a higher value, you put the value in the max day. Continue like that until you get to the very end. Okay, so so the minimum value is what you're going to use to start off your max day. So let's call it 0.0. I'm doing that because we chose to get to randomly generate values from 0 to 50. Yeah. Okay, now if you also need to get the minimum value, you need to start from the maximum value. So the maximum value here is 50. Okay, so I'm doing that because that is what I chose here. Now you can choose to go as high as you want to. You can choose 500,000 if you want, or choose a very crazy low value if you want. Okay, so you can choose to use a crazy low value if you want, minus 500,000 as well. Is that 500,000? Okay, take out 10. So you can choose to do this. It's still fine. All right, so the next thing we need to do is to give the half day a value. Okay, so for the average day, we can start up, of course, with 0. So let us make it empty 0. So what else do we need? The same thing goes for max week and min week. So we can as well use the same set of values that we used here. Okay, that will still work since we are still dealing with maximum and minimum. Okay, we also need the average. Okay, so the average for the week, we can equally use 0.0. So doing this, we have initialized these variables so we can start to use them. Okay, so to get the maximum, we need to keep looping day by day to get the maximum for each day. So we need a double loop to help us achieve that. So for day in range, number of days, number of days. So for the 7 days, for each of the day, we now need to loop for each of the hour. For hour in range, number of hours. So while we're looping, we will check if the temperatures, day, which is for the number of days, so starting from Monday, and then the hours. Okay, I mean the hour because we use hour. Yeah, hour here. Now the question is, do we have hour? Yeah, we do. Okay, good. So if this is, so let's start from max day. So if this is greater than max day, then look at this problem here. Sorry guys. Okay, so if this temperature here is greater than the max day, then we need to substitute their values. Yeah, we need to do max day equals this temperature here. Okay, so this part has helped us to get the maximum for the day for this inner loop here. So we can as well say find maximum for each day. So I can leave this here. Let me just copy and possibly drop this here. So this finds the maximum temperature. Okay, good. So this is us finding the maximum. Now we also need to get the minimum as well. Okay, so we'll basically do the same thing. So we can just drop it under here. So just change this to what? Main day. And then we're leaving this way. Changing this again to main day. Okay, so with this we have done max day and main day. Now remember, we also need to copy this just to repeat the comment here. So this finds the minimum temperatures for the day. All right, so having done this, we need to calculate the average temperature for each day. So to get the average temperature for each day, let me take us back to the Excel sheet. So to get the average temperature for each day, we need to total all of this and divide it by what? 24. That's the way we can get this average. Okay, so for us to keep totaling them, we need a variable where we can be storing the incremental additions as we proceed. Okay, so let's declare them somewhere here. We can just call them total day, and let's begin it with 0. Okay, so let me push this. So how are we going to do this? We need to keep adding So that means total day plus equals temperature of that vary for each of the days. Okay, so when we do this, we would have totaled the temperature for the whole day. Okay, we total the daily temperature. Yeah, so the temperature for each day. Okay, so it is important for us to store each of these maxes and minimums into an array, because we will need them later to get the maximum for the week, maximum for the minimum for the week, and possibly the average for the week. So when we get there, we will equally do the same. Okay, so here let's say max temp array. So this will store the maximum for the entire week. We also need min temp array. So this will store the minimum for the entire week. Yeah, so I haven't done this. We now need to put this here. So max temp dot append. Okay, what are we appending? We are appending the max day. The max day. We'll do the same thing for min temp dot append. What are we adding? The min day. So that way we have stored the maximum for the day, minimum the maximum for the day, minimum for that day, and then this will happen for the 7 days. Okay, so after doing that, we now need to calculate the average, which is the half day, will be equal to total divided by the number of days, which is 24 in this case. So again, we now need to store the average for that day, because we will need it to get the average for the week. The average for the week. So we need to store them in an array. Again, we will come here to create another array. Let's call it av temp array. So this will be storing the average for the week. Okay, all right, so we need to come back here and append it again. Dot append. So we're adding the half day. All right, so having done this, we have successfully been able to do the maximum, minimum, and store them, and then do the average and store them as well. Okay, so now it is important for us to reset the values of the max day, the values of the min day, and even the values of the total day, because if we don't, the previous results will still be stored in there and they will just be added up, okay, to the whole thing, and then it's going to mess up the result. Okay, so let's quickly do that. Max day equals 0. We can leave it at 0. I just added the 0.0 just to remind me that it is a float, so that when I'm displaying, I will not forget. Okay, min day still 0. What else do we need to turn to 0? Total point needs to still be 0. Okay, so this way we've reset the entire value to start all over again for the new day. So we can just drop a comment here and say resetting values for a new day. All right, so at this point you can choose to test it again and print and see the results that you're going to get. Okay, so let's say we want to print for max day. So the maximum for the entire day. We want to print minimum for the entire day. We want to print average for the entire day. So look at the mistake that we made here. Remember that the default value that we use for the maximum, please let's come back here, for the max is the lowest value. So for max, we need to return this to the lowest value, right? For the max day, the lowest value that we used. So we use 500,000. For the mean day, we use 5,000, which is the highest. 5,000, 500,000. Okay, so remember, as long as the value you're using, it's either equal to or more than the minimum or equal to or more than the maximum, you are good to go. Okay, then the total day, remember the default value we used was 0, so we're just returning them to their default values so that their values would not filter into subsequent ones, just like the issue that we had here. So let's proceed. Okay, so there is a problem here from the get-go. This is not supposed to be greater than, this is supposed to be less than. Okay, so if this is less than main day, yeah, so that should sort this problem out. So that's that. So here you have the entire maximums, entire minimums, entire averages. Okay, I noticed a mistake somewhere here, that I use number of days instead of number of hours. Remember, should be 24. Okay, number of hours. Okay, so let's run this and see the result that we're going to get. Okay, so I think this is working out good so far. So if you check, the maximum here is 49. So looking through Monday, 49 is the maximum. Looking through Monday again, 1 looks like the minimum. Yeah, so 1 is the minimum value. Okay, so and for the average, I believe if we calculate this, if we sum it up and get the average, it should give us 27.17. Okay, so far I think this program is working okay. All right, so let's continue. So now we need to output for each day names of the day. For example, Monday. So we need a loop to do that. For day in range, that's number of days. So we need to print the day. Now remember, we have an array already that we called days, right? So we need to do days for day. So print for Monday. So when you print Monday, we will now print maximum temperature. So let's use this one. Print temperature. Now remember, we were told that this whole temperature is in 2 decimal place. So when we are displaying, it is important for us to round them up to 2 decimal place and display them. Okay, so round. What are we rounding? We're rounding max temp array. Now remember, we put all of these in an array, right? Okay, so for day, max temp array for day, then comma 2. So this will put it into 2 decimal place. Okay, So we need to do the same thing for mean, that is for the minimum. So this is what I will just do. I'll just copy this. Paste it there and change this to minimum, and this becomes mean. Finally, we need to now output the average. Now remember, we've been keeping the average in half temp, right? Good. So we're printing again. Average temperature. This becomes half temp. So with this, all of the displays at this level is complete. So if you want to run, you can actually run this program to see how it works. Okay. Okay, so if you check here, you now have the display. So this is for Monday. See, maximum, minimum, average. The same thing for Tuesday, maximum, minimum, average. Wednesday, maximum, minimum, average, all the way to Sunday. Okay. Find the maximum and minimum temperatures for the week. So here we need to remember that we already stored all the maximums in array, all the minimums in this array, and all the averages in this array. So what we need to do at this point is to find the maximum of the maximum, the minimum of the minimum, and the average of the average. So that way our job here will be done. Okay, let's do it. So remember that we have already declared mass week. So mass week is where we need to store the maximum for the week. And you know, we choose a low value, I believe. Remember, for the maximum, you pick a low value, and for the minimum, you pick a high value. Here it is. So, and that is the value. That's 0. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so that's it. Okay. Okay, so with this, we are able to get the maximum of the maximum for that week, and then the maximum, the minimum of the minimum for that week. Okay, so we also need to get the average for the week, the average of the average. So we need a variable where we can be storing the total. Okay, so remember that at this point we need to sum up all the averages and then divide them by the number of days. So this will be average temp for the day. So here we have not declared here before now, so we need to declare that, and the best place to do that to be up here. So we can just drop it here and call it 0. So 0 will be fine. Again, just to remind myself, let me do 0.0 so that I'll keep remembering that we're dealing with decimal numbers. Well, I don't really have to, okay? Just a way to remind myself. So here we summing up all averages. Now we need to calculate the average for the week. And remember that there is a variable that we're supposed to use to do that, which is called avweek, which is this one. Okay. divide by 7. Remember, we're now dividing by 7 by the number of days. Okay, so after that we get the maximum temperature for the week. So we just display them. Remember, we have them already now. We just have to display them. So this will display the maximum for the week in 2 decimal place. So I just have to copy this and repeat the same process again for the minimum. Okay, so with this, I think we've solved the problem. Let's kind of run this program to just see the results that we're going to get. I believe at this point we shouldn't have any problem whatsoever. Okay, so we have actually done this before now. So up to this point, we are sure that everything works. Yeah, up to this point, we're sure that everything works. So let's look at the maximum temperature for the week. The maximum should be the highest of everything inside of this array. The highest, 49. The minimum should be the lowest here, 0. And then the average of the average doesn't have to be the average. So, I mean, the average of the average has to be the average of whatever we have here. Okay, on taking a closer look at this code, I realized we had a little mistake here. So this is supposed to be mean. See, so this is the problem of copy and paste. You're copying both the right things and the wrong things. So I didn't change that. So if we did that correctly, then this should equally be 0. Yeah, because it's the minimum. Okay, which will correspond with 0 here, which is the minimum as well. See, 0 minimum, 0 minimum. So I think this is the end of the program. Let me show you guys this Excel. So I copied all of that and brought them here and calculated it just to be sure that our program works correctly. So let's just do a quick check. For Monday, we have 46,324.12. 46,321.12. You see it the same. 49,028. That's for Tuesday. 49,028. So I think they should follow until Sunday. So let's quickly look at Sunday again. 43,021.5. 43,021.5. Okay, so the maximum here will be 49. Maximum temperature for the whole week will be 49. Minimum should be 0. Remember, I mentioned this before. And then this should be the average. So let's confirm again. So 49, 0, and then this. So I think we have successfully completed this task. Okay, please do well to remember to change this to mean. You know, I used max before because I copied from here. All right, guys, thank you. That'll be all for this video. Do well to share, like, subscribe, comment. Let me know if there's any particular year you want me to treat. I can equally do that. Do well to share to your friends who have need for this video. I hope this helps you in your forthcoming exams. Thank you, guys. See you in the next video. Bye.